Hi everybody, it's Oksana, and today I'm going to show you how to make this pendant right here. It is kind of a bigger one that involves a chain because it doesn't really have a bail to put a necklace through, so you have to attach a chain on 2 points here. But here is what it looks like, the back of it as well. So if you want to see how to make it, just keep watching. So I'm starting out with 3 pieces of 19 gauge square wire. This is a little thicker than the 20 gauge that I normally work with because this design requires a little more stability. Like if you have thin wire and it's a little floppy, then it is more likely to bend. So I'm just finding the middle. This is my middle, and I am taking some half-round wire. You can use a thinner gauge if you want, but I'm just going to be using this 18 gauge half-round wire for another part of this pendant, so I figured I would just stick with the same one instead of mixing different gauges. So we're just wrapping it right around the middle portion here. And you don't have to do it as many times as I'm doing it, or you can do it more times. It's totally up to you. I am gonna just trim so that both of the ends of this wire end up here together on this side. And I am squishing it down with my pliers. There we go. Nice and flat. So now I'm taking my cabochon, which is this dichroic glass cabochon, and it's about an inch, maybe just slightly more than an inch tall. So this is basically how I start every pendant, right? On this frame. So lay down on a flat surface. Don't hold it in the air like me because it's so much harder. And bend it around your cabochon. All right, so there we go, like that. And then I'm just bending here at the top to just have my wires come together. Moving this down a smidge so it is nice and centered. Okay, so now, make sure your wires are not twisted. There we go, like this. They can get, out of order. So fix that if they do. So now going back to my half-round wire, and I'm basically just gonna wrap it around this portion now. So I'm grabbing a little tail end, the rest of the wire is on the spool, and I'm wrapping several times. And now I'm putting it through the middle and around just this one side, and then up the back. And now we're just gonna cut it so that this little tail end, it needs to be short so that it's kind of hidden in here, rather than if it's too long, it'll, stick out the back. So I like to do this. It kind of ends and secures my wire, and it looks like there's a little wrap on one side, on the other side. So it's kind of symmetrical. Now this part is going to be kind of similar because we are going to be just ending this wire here. Okay, so on the top we're going to do a similar thing. You are going to take your half-round wire, and instead of, it's been wrapping kind of around, but now you're going to bring it here to the middle. And the point of this is so the flat side of the half-round wire is always down rather than having it, flip on you. So like this, and all the way around. Let me just grab my wire cutters here. grab that little end and put it in here, in the middle. Like so. Okay, so now we finished off our wire and we made a frame for our stone. So you can stick your stone in here anytime that you would like. I'm probably just gonna put it in there last. So we have 3 wires on one side and 3 wires on the other side. You want to take frontmost wire. We'll start on the right side, and then the left side is just gonna mirror that. I guess the trickiest part of this is making everything look the same on each side, since you're just kind of free forming loops by hand. So I am taking this wire, the frontmost wire on the right side, and I am making a loop. Now, if it helps to do one step at a time, like you can either, there's going to be another loop, but if you feel like it'll be easier for you to get them the same, if you're making like the same thing at the same time, you can do that. It's up to you. Okay, so make sure that they are very, very similar. And now we're gonna do another loop that is slightly smaller. So just try to frame it a little smaller like that. And by the way, I mean, this is just how I am doing this pendant. You can do it however you want. You don't have to do loops like mine. You can do them completely differently. You can do more loops, you can do less loops, you can stick beads on there. Okay, so that looks similar. So I'm good with that. And now I am taking my half round wire again, and I'm just gonna wrap around all 3 of these wires. Make sure they don't crisscross each other, that they go in the same order that they've been going in, and flat side down for the half round wire. So I'm gonna do about 3 of these little wraps like that, and I am gonna cut it such that these little ends will be here on the underside, like this. So when you squish them down, they're here. They're not going to stick out the sides or be on top. So now, same exact thing on this side. Oh, let me grab my wire here. Okay, here we go. Same thing. And just do the same. You don't have to do it 3 times like me, but just do it the same number of times that you did on the other side. Oops, sorry, I keep hitting my camera. So I'm just gonna trim that and flip this over and trim this. And squish. Squish. And I'm just squishing these down, pretty much exactly the same thing as that other side, except I need to, there we go. They were a little bit spaced out too much. So now, same wire, outermost wire, bring it down. And you can tell it's quite long because I think it's easier to start out cutting all your wires the same length. I personally feel it gets tricky once you start
having to keep track of, oh, this first wire needs to be this long and the second wire needs to be that long. And so we're going to have a lot of excess. This wire, we're just going to cut it and it's going to be kind of wasted. So if you do not like to waste wire, then you might want to cut that very first wire that is going here through the front a little shorter. Or you can do additional little loops with it. You can, you know, think of something else. So I am curving it. Okay, I can make it like this and it could be a little heart. But that's not what I'm doing here. I am just cutting it. Let me make sure. Okay, I think that was a close estimate of cutting them the same. So now I'm gonna grab one of them and I'm gonna make a loop. So what I'm doing here, and you don't have to do it this way, you can just make a loop however you make loops. But I am, do you hear that noise? And that is me squishing the tip of that wire. See how now it's like pointy compared to this one? So I squished it a little with my round nose pliers, and that makes it kind of a tighter little loop, a tighter little curve. What I am going to do is push these three a little further. There we go. So now I'm just messing around with this loop to get it to be pretty. There we go. That's my loop, just like that. Same thing on this side. I'm just gonna do that off camera. Actually, no, I'll try to do it on camera. I thought that these wires were gonna hit my camera and I wasn't gonna be able to do it, but they're fine so far. Okay, so I'm squishing the tip of that wire and making a little loop. So that's pretty similar, right? I think it looks quite similar. There we go. So now we have two wires on each side. And what I'm gonna do is, I think that I will, you can twist, if you wanna twist one of these wires because they are square, it'll have a pretty little twisted pattern. And I'm gonna twist the first one. You don't have to do this, but just to fancy it up, if you want to, grab the frontmost wire with your pliers and then literally just turn the rest of the piece, and then the wire will get twisted like so. All right, so now what you want to do is you want to line these wires. So right now they are, so one is in front and one is in back like this, but you actually want them to be one on top of the other. So you can do it with your fingers or you can do it with your pliers. But I am making so that that first one, the twisted one, is on top and the other one is on bottom like this. Okay, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold them both together in that position, and I'm making a loop with both of them at the same time, like that. And I'm bringing that up, all the way up, and I'm making another loop. And the wires is staying in the front here, not in the back, but in the front. just making that loop a little smaller because it's quite large. And I do have some excess wire here, so if you want to cut your wires slightly shorter or do more kind of twisty loopy things, you can. Or if your stone is slightly larger than mine, then don't worry. There's a little extra wire, so it can accommodate a larger stone. So here is what that looks like. I think I'm going to try and get that just a smidge smaller. Okay. Like so. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring these wires to the back and flipping over here to the back. That first wire, the twisted one, actually I'm just going to squish them all down and then we'll go over what to do with the twisted wire. So I'm pressing them down, right, because they're kind of going around here and I want them to be flat. So I'm just pressing them down with my pliers like this. So they're nice and flat. And so this wire here, that is the non-twisted wire, we're going to cut. I guess that's another reason to twist it, is that now I can refer to them as the twisted and the non-twisted. Might be easier. So now I'm just pressing down that little end so that it basically the end of the wire is facing into this wire so that you can't feel it. It's not sticking out in any way. And then this wire is kind of just sticking out here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make a little loop with it. So I'm cutting it quite short, and I'm making a loop with it. And if you need to be doing this side simultaneously, kind of like I did with those first loops, feel free to do that, but I thought it'd be easier for me just to show you this, like the completion of this side, and then I'll probably just do the other side a little quicker. Okay, so just making a super tiny little loop like that. Sorry, my camera keeps changing the lighting. There we go. So now I am doing the same thing that I did on that side. So we had the twisted wire on top, the non-twisted wire on bottom, and we made a loop. I'm gonna try and make this a very similar size and shape loop. And now bringing it in the other direction like that. Okay, that looks similar to me. Maybe this loop is just ever so slightly larger than the other side. Okay, I think that's good. Bringing these to the back. I'm gonna cut the non-twisted one, press it down so that it's kind of facing inwards rather than sticking out. And then this wire, the twisted wire, I'm just gonna press on that a little bit and trim it fairly short here. And now I'm gonna make a little tiny loop. I'm holding it now upside down, squishing with my pliers that little end so that I can make a itty bitty little loop here. There we go. Just like that. So that looks pretty symmetrical to me. Now we can stick our stone in. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna pull, and the stone will kind of pop out the front when you do this and you have to put it back in, but pulling on these wires here in the back and bringing them onto the stone like that. And then here in the front, same thing. Just gonna grab down here and use my pliers to make a bend. There we go. And now the wire's onto the stone, except for at the top. So at the top, I'm gonna also need to make a bend with my pliers, like that. Okay, and this stone, it just happens to be kind of flat on the side. If it's more domed, it'll be easier to trap it in, but there we go. Now, the stone is trapped. It's not popping out the front or the back.
So I went ahead and oxidized the copper for this darker look so that it will match my chain. I just have some craft chain that you'd get at like AC Moore's or Michael's in this antique copper color, which matches the oxidized copper pretty well. It's much easier than actually finding raw copper chain and oxidizing that. But if you prefer raw copper chain, I think that Rio Grande sells it, I'm not sure. So then I have a little jump ring here, which is also from a craft store in the same color. So I'm just gonna put it through the end of my chain and over here, this loop here, and then I'm just gonna close that up so it looks like that. And then here on the other side, I'm just gonna do the same exact thing and attach some chain so that the pendant kind of hangs like this. And my chain has a little lobster clasp here, so you can put it on and off. So that is it. Here is the completed piece. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.